Good evening. This is the March 12th meeting of the Grosse Ile Township Public Services Commission. I'd like to start by calling the meeting to order. And the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we'll call the roll.
I am here.
Schmidtke.
President accounted for.
Riley.
I am here.
Riley, he's here.
I am here.
Cloutier. Here. Budney.
Present.
Ben Oz. And Phil Kennedy and Lenny Pedestris are excused for this evening's meeting. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Are there any changes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Budney and supported by Riley that the agenda be approved as distributed. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Next, we have the minutes of the February 11th meeting. You've all had a chance to look at those. Can we have a motion for approval?
I would move to approve the minutes of February 11th.
Support.
Supported. Are there any comments? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next, we have the vouchers, which are displayed in a number of pages. Vouchers 13,831 through 13,835. Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Supported the vouchers be approved as distributed. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The vouchers are approved. Next, we have a statement of revenues and expenditures for the last month of the fiscal year. Are there any questions? If not, we'll receive and file those. Moving right along here. Looking for the treasurer's report. Next, we have a report from the treasurer for the month of February. Are there any questions on that? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I would move to approve the treasurer.
Supported. Any questions? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Now we've got through those items. There's nobody in the audience here, no public yet tonight. I'm disappointed in that. Your public is welcome to come to our meetings. With that, we'll move on to the action items. We have two action items tonight. One is approval of the Suez contract compensation adjustment. The Suez Company was formerly United Water. The Suez Company, we have had a long-standing contract with to run our wastewater treatment plant, run and operate it. Our director of the operations, Ryan Walsh, is here in the audience if there's any questions. But this is a standard contract. I did obtain a copy of the contract from the DPS office today. You know, our director, Lorinda, has been off on sick leave. And the motion that was recommended is to recommend to the Township Board a compensation adjustment in the amount of 2.67%, or $10,992.12 a month for contract services at the wastewater treatment plant to be effective April 1st, 2019. The history of this is we've had for many, many years Suez, formerly United Water, and formerly EarthTech have been operating our wastewater treatment plant. I think you have 4 full-time employees out there? And so the contract calls for, based on the cost of living index increases, as presented to us, a 2.67% increase in the contract amount. So the recommendation is to approve this and send it on to the Township Board. I just want to comment that we received the information from Ryan's superiors, and they sent 2 indexes, which I know Lorinda in the past always spent some time on in verifying the increase. The two pages are numbered, page 22 and 23. I have no problem with approving this amount. what I will do in the next few days, I just had a chance to see this Sunday. This doesn't explain anything as far as I'm concerned. So I will work with Ryan to call his superiors before it goes to the township board. I'd like to have the specific reference to how they arrived.
So which is the foundation for the 2.67% increase?
Exactly.
Okay. Because the other number stays flat. The other numbers, there's no increase this year. There's one more number in there.
Correct.
So just by way of history that I can add, as a treasurer years ago, I made the motion to take over the sewer treatment plant. It was a great idea. At that time, years ago, we paid more than twice as much to Wayne County to operate the sewer treatment plant. So between then and now, the community saved whatever that number is that you're going to be paid this year. They've saved that or more every year.
I didn't know that, John. That's great.
I do.
That's great history. Okay, so that's a great explanation, and this is something we do every year. And by the way, this is the last year of our contract that expires in 2020. That's not to say we want to end our relationship, but I think that what we will do about 6 months from now is form a committee to sit down and meet with you, Ryan, and your superiors and talk about our options. And I think we do need to re-examine a couple of clauses, particularly the compensation issue in the contract, and discuss the operational needs and so forth. So I think that's something we got to put on our calendar for about 6 months from now.
I made the motion, and who supported that? Did Jim support that?
Did you make
Yeah.
a motion to approve?
I made the motion to approve, as indicated with 2.67 and the flat other fee.
And I approve. Did you want in there based on? Did you want it
Motion
said?
would say approved based on the confirmation by the chairman of the commission with the superiors at Suez as to the foundation for the adjustment. And
The escalating factor of 2.67.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's a good way to put
Yep.
it. With that, yeah, we need a vote.
Yep.
So any questions? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. And in the next week, Ryan, I'll work with you to get these two sheets that are numbered in our packet with more information on them.
Yeah, it just is a way of history. Normally, actually, we'd receive from Suez the actual.
Inflationary indexes or something like that.
The actual indexes that they use, so you could see right where they tied into the numbers. So I'm sure they have it, and it would be more than.
Oh, we have the two sheets, but there's nothing on
No,
it
well,
except
but
numbers.
I mean that's it, and it was more. They actually had more to it, so that should be no problem.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the 2019 Wayne County Local Partnering Initiative Sectioning Bid Award Recommendation. What this is for the last couple of years now, Wayne County government has given essentially the opportunity to receive funds to repair local roads. And these are neighborhood streets, primarily. They're not our major roads, not like East River and Meridian Parkway. These are neighborhood streets. And we've spent a lot of money on Grays Drive, for example, by the high school. Park Lane serves the high school and one of the elementary schools. So we put the money to good use. So this year, we are being told that we could receive $388,888 as long as we provide match 20% in addition to that amount, and that we pay for all of the engineering and inspection expenses related to taking bids, staking the projects where necessary, and administering the construction. So we have a program that we took bids on. The low bidder is the Dominic Gaglio Construction Company in the amount of $480,000, $480,682.50. You can see that we had three bids. A local contractor, Campo Brothers, was just $1,000 above that. And then GV Cement, who used to do a lot of our paving work, was almost $200,000 above that amount. So at any rate, Dominic Gaglio Construction, our engineers are familiar with, and the recommendation is to award to Dominic Gaglio Construction.
I'll make a motion that we award that contract.
I'll support that.
Supported that the contract be awarded. Now, in your packet,
And a little discussion too, when you get a chance.
you have a bid down of the bids, but I also want to give you one more document. So you have a record of this. You'll recall in November, we did a report. I think this is important because, John, I'd like you to go up to the projector, and I'd like to show you. It's important that the residents understand what we're talking about. So if it's on the screens, I got to get my screen turned on.
Ted? Thank you, John.
So when we did the survey with our engineers,
Yours isn't coming up, huh?
when we drove the roads with our engineers, we tried to prioritize and bring back to the commission and approved in November this list of projects. And if you're looking at the map, John, let's put the map up. You have the list in front of you, and this is important to me because when it goes to the township board, I want them to have this information. It's got to be added to the report. So, starting at the south end of the island, we're going to make some improvements at Swan Island Drive, the intersection of Swan Island, the intersection there, on Elba Road, where we have deterioration of an intersection. These are really safety improvements. These intersections are badly deteriorated. And then on Manchester, John, our program calls for $50,000 of expenditures on Grays Drive by the high school, again. And near Park Lane, near the high school. And one of the things that's listed as number 8 on the list here, our proposal is to do considerable amount of joint and crack sealing scattered around the township. And so we have, with this program, we have $70,000 proposed to do joint and crack sealing. And that'll help save a lot of our pavements. Then we move over towards a Church Road, the area where we have HCL Jackson and so forth, Burning Bush Road improvements, Canterbury, Hampton Road, Church Road, Burning Bush again in a different part of it, Canterbury, Coventry. You can see all the dots. There's several concrete slabs that are deteriorating that need to be restored and replaced. Moving further to the north, Woodcrest Drive, Shirley Drive, O'Donnell, Park Lane again, south of Sacred Heart Church, and then Massey Court, where we got some pavement failure and also flooding problems. We added at the very north end of the island, hopefully will be added, and you can't, can you all see it there? And where this is where Meridian comes together with Park Lane. And I thought personally for a long time that was private road. It is not a private road. And that intersection is really deteriorated.
It's pretty bad.
So we hope that we can add that to the program. It's not on this list, but hopefully, now this list was prepared prior to the actual taking of bids. So we're going to see if we can't fit it in as the program is administered.
A lot of that will be covered under the water main replacement project, because we're coming across that intersection.
So that's
a
the
lot
Park
of that
Lane Water Main Project.
Correct. We'll be discussing that in a little bit.
So I guess why I wanted to go over this with you, it's important to me that when this goes to the township board, they have the whole picture, not just
Dollars.
the dollars, so that they can see what we're doing. And, John, I'm gonna rely on you to make sure the map's attached to their, you can take that map and smaller version and just put dots that's, are clearly, can be seen. And, maybe with a bright red color or something to show about where these things are gonna take place.
Probably that. Yeah, well, I'll talk to you about it. Yeah, I'll talk to you about it. You know what we can pass out to. For me, I'd like that, but for them, the smaller would be.
Okay, so I think that I've said all that needs to be said on that project. So with that,
You know, I was just thinking of one other thing. Man, Jim's lived in those neighborhoods, some of these neighborhoods, for a long time. I believe, unless might remember, that quite a few of those streets that feed off of Church Road were developed late 50s, early and mid 60s.
Yeah,
Well, that's how old those original paved roads are in many places. It's quite a long time ago. And for a while, the pavement held up well, but it's deteriorating, obviously. There's years involved here.
yeah, and you're right. You're right with the time period. It was late 50s, early 60s that both sides of Church there, Potawatomi, started.
and at a time, John, when you could connect your footing drains to the sanitary sewer.
Yeah, well, that's not relevant, so
I
strike
know.
that from the minutes.
Well, it was legal then.
It was never legal.
I thought they passed a law in 1972 last.
No, it was never legal.
On the partnering initiative, I just want you also to know, I did an analysis of our funding with our current budget for money we have available in our road fund to make sure we could make this work. And we can make it work. We can match the money. And so it's a good program. So we'll get a lot of neighborhood streets repaired. So with that, are there any other questions? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to have the manager's report in a moment and the wastewater treatment plant report. I see we have an audience now. Mr. Heil, welcome to our meeting. You'll be given a chance to speak when we get through these quick items. So with that, John, let you take over.
Okay, update on the Hawthorne Drain Project. You have pictures in your packet. If you look at page 29, that's where we replace the culvert that comes from the pond on the north, or on the south side of the Hawthorne Pond. So when we install that new culvert pipe, we were able to drop that water level. You can see by the ice that was up on the banks. We dropped that water level in that pond between 18 and 24 inches.
As soon as the new culvert was put in, right?
So we have, if you look at the next picture, that would be looking to the south. That's where the ditch is cleaned all the way down to would be the southwest corner of the elementary school property. And then we went approximately 150 feet to the west around that corner.
John, are you using your mic?
Yeah, I can hear him.
But the people at home won't be able to.
So you're using it? Okay.
And then if you look at page 31, that's looking to the east from that drain, the culvert pipe, excuse me. And we went from approximately 100 yards off to the east, off to the west of the elementary school parking lot. That's where the project began. So we cleaned the entire ditch all the way along the Hawthorne property and went to the south and then to the west, behind the school. And that water's flowing amazing right now. We were able to accomplish that project while, as you can see, it was still frozen. Because right now, the frost is coming out of the ground and everything's a very muddy mess. Trying to get in there and do it now.
John, I think the other news that you sent me, now that we've extended the project a little because we had water accumulating at the south end. But the original bid was 20, well,
The original
32,000, and all the work that was in the original contract, he was able to finish for 25,000 something?
Yes, he still has restoration to do, yes.
Yeah, so the money was well spent, and this picture on page 31 behind the Meridian Elementary School, you couldn't even see this summer that there was a ditch there. It was so overgrown and so plugged with fallen trees and whatnot. So hopefully it'll make a big improvement. And I would say that the schools cooperated. They were glad to see this going out. And so all in all, it was a very successful undertaking. So thank you.
Okay, number 2 is the status of the Park Lane water main replacement program. Drainage engineering has obtained the necessary permits, and we're ready to start in April. The contract.
Sorry. Now you can hear me. Thank you. The contractor is ready to mobilize beginning in April, depending upon the frost laws, when he'll start in April. So we'll be replacing the water main on Park Lane from Bridge Road north to the end of Park Lane where it turns to go back to Meridian.
The original plan for this, the Wayne County Permits Division was going to charge a $150,000 permit for us to work in the road. And I think our engineers got that waived entirely.
Well, he's down to 36,000 now, and he's still working that number. Correct.
Told me yesterday that he intends to get it all eliminated, but he's got to talk to one more person over at the county. So
And they also agreed to allow us to rotomill between 1.5 inches and 2 inches of asphalt versus the 6 they were requiring in the beginning of the project. So that was substantial savings for us.
and that ties in with the handout that you provided us regarding water main breaks. And I know that Mr. Heil is concerned about water mains, and so are we. What I'd like you to do is put this map up. Well, if you look at the map, and out on the north end of the island, you see Park Lane. That's where we know we had a problem with the old pipe that's in place. I don't know how many are there, 12 or 13 water main breaks this year. So that main will be replaced this spring. And you can see the other scattered water mains. You want to comment on any of them, John?
As you were saying, Bill, the majority of them were on that piece of Park Lane, and then the other real bad
That piece we have is Church Road west of Meridian to West River, and Meridian Road pretty much from Church to Macomb.
Like, I'd like to address Mr. Heil on that issue, because I know you went to see our engineers. You talked to us, so Heil. I just want to explain what we're doing. You see the map.
Yes.
We're concerned, Bill, about water main breaks as well. And this has been an ongoing problem for us, and we know that a year ago, this past year, we were fighting the pressure reducing valve. High pressure coming in. We replaced the valve, and that dramatically dropped the frequency of the number of water main breaks we were having. But beyond that, with the new contract that we've entered into with Great Lakes Water Authority, there's going to be a little bit of savings, hopefully, and we're going to hopefully realize that.
I was talking to Jim about that. I think 188,000 a year or something like that.
That remains to be seen,
Okay.
how much it will be. But it's going to be probably over $100,000. And when we looked at this year's budget that's going forward starting April 1st for DPS, for water in particular, and our finance director noted that there were 2 outstanding bond issues that will be paid off this year. So that should free up more money. So the way we approved the budget at this point is we approved our operating budget. And then we're going to look at, in May or June, whatever the timing is right, we're going to examine the amount of money that we're going to save from the retirement of the old debt.
That's when that cash flow begins to build from there.
We're going to look at our savings on the water. We'll have almost a quarter of experience with it, at least 2 or 3 months with it, and then come up with a safe figure that we know we could go out and issue some more revenue bonds without increasing rates. And one of my goals is this water main on Meridian from basically Macomb across Ferry Road, across the canal. We've had all those water breaks. It's a very bad, our prior director, Barry Sedlak, even said years ago he'd like to fix that. So that's a priority for me. And then I know John has set a priority as Church Road. If you look on West River Road, we've already fixed those with the West River Road improvement. So to me, I did not know you were going to be here, but so Hal told me you were inquiring about
Yes.
this. Our goal is going to be to in the next year use that money and then go out and this commission is going to have to study it so we know what we're talking about. So without increasing water rates, hopefully go out and issue some more revenue bonds to build and replace a lot of these water mains that have given us a lot of problems. That's the first step. So I just wanted to explain that to you.
Do I have opportunity to talk about that now, or would you prefer I wait? I'm,
Get through the
sure,
reports.
sure,
and then
that's
we'll-
fine. I wasn't sure when appropriate was, Bill, that's all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And the commission, you discussed that at budget time when I wasn't here, but everybody understands that? Ted?
Yeah, the budget has, bond money in there to do all of this.
No, she did program them in there. When I talked to Ann about it, what I want to make sure of is that I'll put it this way, know what we're talking about, not just guess. And
It's all budgeted. We're gonna go out for some substantial bond money when the budget's passed. And that would include actually some renovations of the sewer plant also.
yeah, that's right. Okay, so everybody's, I'm just reminding you, that discussion's going to be May or June, and so we can move forward with some of these things. Next on our agenda, Ryan Walsh, you're going to give us an update at the wastewater plant.
Hello, everyone. First, I have the elevator hoistway ventilation fix. Guy Missler is being scheduled to install the ventilation system at their earliest convenience right now. So that's all set up.
Is there any any idea when that will be? I mean, the earliest. What are they
No.
talking?
I'm
I
not
mean-
sure about that, but
Yeah, the only thing I asked Sohail if he heard back from Guy and Messler today to call me, and he didn't. We've got the approval from the state inspectors, and everything's on the go pattern. This project is less than $20,000. Am I correct? Do you remember?
yes, I believe it's maybe $12,000. I believe something like that.
So this is to ventilate the
Right.
elevator shaft, and then we still have to replace the cables.
Yes, which is around 11, I think, around
I got that 20, I
$11,000.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's moving forward, and we're pushing it as fast as we can. So I hope within a month it's done.
Me too.
It's a local company. They're in Wyandotte.
Yeah. Yep. Next on here is the influent fine screen status. Responses to the MDQ's questions concerning the Part 41 permit will be submitted by week's end by CE Rains and HM advisors. And in the meantime, the specifications for the bidding documents are being prepared so it can be advertised shortly after we have our Part 41 permit in hand.
So you expect that to occur, we should be able to go out for bids in the next month, right?
Yes.
I'm gathering from this.
Yes.
That'll be good news.
That's correct. Yeah. Yes, it will be. We're really looking forward with that.
Okay.
And the third thing on the outline, we took care of that already with the contract, right?
Yes, we did. Yep. That was already spoken about earlier, and as was already stated, is we have 1 year left with Suez from April 1st of this year. So
Great.
that's all I have.
We're happy with Suez. I mean, but we need to sit down and re-examine everything
Yep.
just as a procedure.
Yeah, same here. Yep.
It's just the name. It's crazy, that name.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're dealing with a
it was
foreign
di-
company.
it
We're
was
not.
it was a different name when we negotiated the
Several,
contract.
yeah.
Yep, they
Your
keep
company's
switching.
bumped through like 3 or 4 different
United
names.
Water and then Earth Tech. And
I'm
then-
sure that's the aggregate of some other names. It's just funny, but it's not. Yeah, it's the same company. Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay, Ryan. Well, thank you very much. Any more questions for Ryan? Anybody?
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, thanks.
This is being awfully quiet over here.
Say hi to the baby.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. John, you want to talk about the yard waste?
Yard waste begins April 1st, so whatever day of the week your trash day is on that week, your yard waste will begin being removed that week. Also, I'd like to also mention that our cleaning and televising of the sanitary sewer program, segment 2, is now in gear. We began today, beginning at Meridian and Voight. We're going to go north first for a little bit, and then we're going to turn around and come back to the south. So Safeway Transport Company is the contractor, the big blue trucks, for anybody that doesn't remember them. And also, if you sign up for Grozeel Connect, you will get a notice when they're in your neighborhood, so you can take the proper precautions. They are leaving door knockers on everyone's front door. When they're in your neighborhood, please follow the instructions they ask you to do, so we don't have any messes in the house. Also, I'd like to mention that Wayne County will be grading the gravel roads beginning next week. Please don't park on the gravel roads during the week.
Does that mean that they're going to follow? They're not going to do dust control yet.
It's just to get rid of all the potholes that came from the frost. That's all.
Anything else?
That's all for right now.
Okay, that covers our normal agenda items. Before we get down to any comments from the board, Mr. Heil, you wish to come back up and speak? We'd be happy to have you.
Basically, Bill, I have two subjects I'd like to discuss that some, not real long, but get some information. Certainly the pipes, and more recently I had some conversation with Greg Karmazin, and I want to talk about the county bridge a little bit too. But with the pipes, just to bring my head and yours together, I've talked with you, I've talked to John before in the past, and I started this thinking with saying, wait, we're going to complete the loop, and then we've got all the feeder pipes off of that take care of the fire hydrants in everybody's home, and came up with a round number of about 51 miles and a finger in the air estimate of about $1 million a mile. And I've learned later than that, from that some of that feeder pipe possibly has already been replaced. There's a new process that can be used, or relatively new. I think it's called burst and pull or something akin to that. It's $105 a foot. I learned that from Ohio. And I came out with something like $588,000 a mile, a lot less. I'm trying to clarify in my mind a couple of things, the concerns that I have. These pipes are really old. Many of them, I think, are already beyond their expected life expectancy. We're going along doing the most we can with what we see as our monies now. I'm worried about what we do if there's all of a sudden an unexpected collapse somewhere. Because when they get that old, they can start breaking faster, or at least that's my concern, that is the possibility. So my own opinion then is, or my own concerns are, whether we're going to have the financial strength if something really bad goes on, that we'll be able to get it done. And I'm also concerned a little bit about how we end up financing it. There's this community that likes to do short-term financing. That's been a problem with the roads. I'm tending to want to persuade people to go for, on the pipes, long-term financing for two main reasons. Why should we hustle to pay off something in 10 years that has a life expectancy of 100? Why can't we let somebody who's here 20 years from now pay for some of it? And two, when you spread the amount of time, you reduce the monthly payments, the amount of millage you need currently to get the job done goes down. And that relates to what people can afford to pay for houses. If you jam the millage too hard, you can hurt yourself on that issue. But how many miles of feeder pipe do we really need to replace in the foreseeable future? That's my question. Is it 51 miles? Is it 25 miles? Do you know, Bill, what the mileage is on that?
Not off the top of my head, but I will tell you this. So Hal relayed to me that you were in to inquire. Every 10 years we have to do a reliability study.
Yes, you mentioned, yeah.
Reliability study looks at all the pipes, looks at the pressure in the water mains between hydrants.
That's coming up.
And they just finished it right around Christmas time. And it lists, based on the pressure issues and based on records related to a breakage, it lists a priority in a 5-year and then a 10-year increment. So that report, I expect, so Hal, we talked about it yesterday, will be delivered to us in May or no later in June, but probably May. And it's going to tie in with our discussion on what we're going to want to build.
Use that to help set your priorities and forecast what your needs will be.
One of them would be that Park Lane main, which we already have funded. Another one would be that Meridian section that we talked about, and hopefully maybe that Church Road section. Now, one of the problems is you not only, in some cases like Church Road, Church Road is so narrow. That's the west section from Meridian to West River. The water main's right on the edge of the pavement. So you're going to damage one lane anyway when you try to replace it. And so that all raises the cost of what you end up doing. But that's why we're going to have a full discussion on that issue, and we'll disclose everything, because this will have to we'll have to make a presentation, this commission will, to the township board. So it's a big deal.
Those details will be forthcoming in the months ahead.
So hopefully we can answer those questions for you.
I understand. I needed to hear. You told me about that study once before, but that had slipped from my mind. That will help us a lot.
This also affects our insurance rates too.
Fire.
ISO, it's called.
Fire Services Office.
Fire department, and whether it's volunteer or not, and how many stations and hydrants, how long it takes to get to various parts of the community. So, and then the pressure. So, all in all, it's a good thing that it's being done. We have completed the loop. The West River Road project this year, 2 years ago we did the East River Road section, completed it. It was almost 3 miles. And then we did 2 miles on West River. So the 12-inch water main, new, is now completed around the island. So that's the first step, and that's done. And the West River Road project last year we were very pleased with. So anyway, the loop's completed. Now we got to fix a lot of these mains that keep breaking.
My concern with that 12-inch being completed, I'm happy about that, because it also has the potential to increase the pressure on these old pipes. Now, my thought is that could happen.
I don't think it works that way. I mean, the pressure is controlled coming over the bridge or under the bridge through the pressure reducing valve.
Right. I'm not a physicist.
It doesn't increase because you have a bigger pipe.
I was worried that you have a bigger pipe and it's going down into a smaller pipe, and with a bigger volume, it'll jam it harder. That's what I was thinking.
John, you're the expert. It doesn't work that way.
Les can explain a lot of that too.
Oh yeah, I don't want. I'll take
Not
it.
too hard to.
Do you care to speak up? You haven't said a thing tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we're afraid of. Okay, so your next question?
I'm concerned about the county bridge. Without going into a litany of details, the amount of information we get, the representations are made that have been made, the actions that have been taken, don't match and create a fertile seed bed for trust. And we're sitting here, and there have been varying numbers thrown around. The latest one we got was $1.5 million to make it fix this year. We talked about this a bit. There's an outstanding estimate of $17.6 million for it. We don't know what that's for. There was a promise made, or a representation made, that once this previous fix had been done, it was going to be good for 30 years, and we were lucky to get 10 more out of the bridge. The idea is to make sure we know what is being done and why it's being done, and that it's being properly inspected as it's being done, and that it's adequate. And if you have opportunity to install some controls over that or review it as it's going forward, I think it would be helpful for the community to have that service provided to us. That's the gist of what this remark is about.
Okay, well, that bridge issue has been at the township board level. This commission, we're advisory. We get involved in a lot of things: water, the sewer system, drains, roads,
Right.
garbage. But the bridge issues have really been a relationship between, particularly the big bridge, between the township board, township manager, township attorney, and not on an advisory basis.
I can bring that up again.
Yeah, and I heard the discussion last night, and it was a good discussion. It's good to talk about it anyway.
Right.
I think the frustration I hear from township board members is, they can speak tonight if they wish to, is the answers aren't clear from the county. There's nobody legitimately.
That's part of what I'm talking about in that seed
Here's
bed.
our plan. Here's where we're at, and maybe the county or the township will get that from the county soon, and I hope they will, so that they can answer the questions as far as what the county's going to do. There's
we're
not
sit-
only that one bridge. There's several bridges, and bridge going out to your area towards Hickory. What's the name of that bridge?
They call it the 5 mile an hour bridge, or
Miso Bridge.
That is, we know, is scheduled for some repair. The bridge at Ferry, it's not evident, but we have a problem with the bridge keep undermining, and twice a year now, the county comes in and puts asphalt materials at the abutment on the east end of it, and the bridge out on Park Lane. Again, it's closed, been closed since last summer. Our bridge situation is not funny. Our road situation is not funny, but we're not going to talk about it. We're no different bind than everybody else. And the interesting discussion that I heard last night, the island's facing is all the problems with McLaw Steel site,
Yes,
and
yes.
what the potential issues are there. So this community has and we're not involved in that either, but it was an enlightening discussion to watch on TV. I thought you township board members had a lot on your plate last night, and too often we don't think about how much you're really responsible for. So thank you. It's a lot on your plate.
That's right. The total fund, as I understand it, that the state has available for bridges is something like $48 million for a year. If we're sitting here with our handout for $17.6 million ultimately, that's roughly a third, maybe just a tick more. And that doesn't sound feasible to me.
There's
Bill.
one thing about the county bridge here, and it reminds me of something that happened in Minneapolis. Now, I understand our county bridge is still very safe. It's being carefully monitored. But if there is a bridge that needs to be fixed in Wayne County, they've taken care of the Rouge Bridge. I would think that's the next most important bridge. It's more important than the Miller Street Bridge, should get priority and big money. Now, that's my feelings, but those kinds of things are better addressed to the county by people other than myself, by the township board, the supervisor, yourself as a citizen. That's for the bridge going to Trenton, the county bridge. That seems like that makes sense to me.
If I've got my head screwed on straight on that issue, John, the funding source or the mechanism to take care of the county bridge is a different one than the one we use for the small bridges here in the township itself. Is that right? We get money from the township from the county for the township bridges, but there's federal and state monies also potentially available for the
That's
big
true.
bridge.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Jim,
The county pays for the county bridges here on the island. That's
Yeah,
why,
that, yeah.
That's why we're a township.
Yeah, no. First of all, you, the public, get everything that we know about the bridges. Brian has done a very good job of putting forth everything that comes to the township. You get it. It might not be enough. You may have a lot of questions, which I know you do, but you get you have everything that we have, and the bridge money. 17. I think 17.6 is the cost for the overall everything on that bridge, not just the piers. And the bridge money comes from state money, but very little, because as you pointed out, the state has very little bridge money.
Right.
Most of the money's going to come from the federal government. That's where it's going to come from, and Wayne County has to go to the federal government to get that. That takes time and priority. I mean, again, it's important to you and us that our bridges get fixed, but we're one little pebble.
Okay,
I'm glad you.
with regard to items, Bill, that are our responsibility, is there any, we can't,
No, I was just after some information and to see what you knew. My frustration is, and he's spot on with me, you can't make, if you're sitting on the board, decisions without information. And you can't plan without information. And my own personal experience with talking with people trying to get information from the county has not been productive. When I've seen the results of things that have been granted to the county or expected of the county in terms of performance over the past decades, we would have hoped for something different. That's what I'm referring to in general terms about a seedbed for trust that when this job gets done, it's going to be done right. But you're true. You're making recommendations for Grosse Ile. That big bridge isn't in your purview. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak? Nobody's.
Or me.
Okay, are there items for discussion besides what we've just talked about? Chairman's report. I just want to thank you for, when I missed the meeting in February, for nominating me chairman again. Thank you. I look forward to serving in this role.
I don't feel bad about it, Bill. I wasn't here and I got the railroad too.
All right, so with that, go around the table. Anything else, Jim?
Nothing else tonight. Thanks, Bill.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, to one and all.
Les?
That's why I'm wearing a green today. On the Park Lane deal, we'll have to see how that goes. Maybe we might be able to do horse mill
Park Lane Water Main?
on a water main project. Keep that in the back of your mind, because I know when we did, like we were doing East River Road, well, we ended up doing Ferry Road. We ended up doing Island Boulevard. All out of the same project. But we haven't had a lot of main breaks on horse mill, but when you do break, they are disastrous. Recyclables, how are we doing on that? Everything's good?
Yes.
Because there was a big item in the paper yesterday or today, I don't know which one it was.
That was the increase that we approved through the end of their contract, and we're going to review it prior to their contract renewal.
Well, Lorinda sent me a communication she got from Waste Management, and I couldn't open it on my computer. And basically all I have here is a laptop. And so, at any rate, she said this was alarming. It was an article about recycling. I think recycling is in trouble nationwide.
Westland is the one that, they, instead of recycling anything now, they're all taking it to the landfill.
Oh yes, I read that. And what I understand is, and I have a friend that is in the waste hauling, industrial waste hauling business. He said that China is balking at taking a lot of the paper products and plastic products that are dirty or contaminated.
Remember Lenny talked about that,
Right.
national
that's
sword.
what started the whole thing. What Lorinda sent us. Now, after China backed out, India started picking up a lot of the plastics and recyclables, and now they're shutting down, taking plastics and steel or metal. So it's going to put a further crunch on that, and it's not going to. We were hoping that whole thing that China would ease up, and we were talking about it'd get better, and instead, I mean, worldwide, it's just getting worse. So we're going to have to look at that because it's astronomical what the prices are going.
Well, it's funny, Jim, that something in this country hasn't started up a business of some sort to do it instead of shipping it out of here. It's supposed to be the greatest country in the world. Now I'm starting to sound like Trump, but,
Yeah, you're right. Nobody, I mean,
anyhow,
so.
the other thing I got is, how many bridges you think we got on Grosse Ile? Not counting the turnaround.
7 or 8.
We have 12 bridges. 13 with the big one. Thought I'd bring that up to you.
Okay.
The only other thing I have is, John, the hydrants on Dallas. What are they going to do with them? Are they going to put an extension on them and raise them up? Or leave them down in a hole?
Raise them up.
They should raise both
Coming
of
back
them up.
this week.
They should raise both of them up 2 feet. So that when the people slide off the road and go to hit them, they'll be able to see them real good.
Yep. Like I said, they're coming back this week to start the drainage, so we'll take care of that.
What I say is, Happy St. Patty's Day. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you, Les.
Ted?
I have nothing.
John, anything else?
Sir.
Yeah, I guess we've had enough comments. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will make the motion that we adjourn the meeting.
And I will support less 100%.
No discussion, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.